Formula One just entered its most radical era since the 1950s. We were promised closer racing, sustainable fields, and a level playing field. But as the 2026 season kicks off, the paddock isn't talking about racing. They're talking about a heist, a technical heist worth nearly a half second per lap. While Audi, Ferrari, and Honda were busy following the letter of the law, Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains have discovered a genius loophole that essentially allows them to run an illegal engine completely legally. It's a trick of physics, a masterclass in grey area engineering, and it all comes down to one tiny measurement that changes when things get hot. To understand the cheat, we have to understand the new law. For 2026, the FIA introduced a massive change to the internal combustion engine. They slashed the maximum NR compression ratio from 18:1 down to 16:1. Why? To balance the power, because the 2026 cars now rely much more on electrical engine energy, nearly 50-50 split between the engine and the battery. By capping the combustion at 16:1, the FIA intended to limit the bang in the cylinder, making the engines more reliable and easier for newcomers like Audi to build. But in F1, a limit is just a challenge. Higher compression means more thermal efficiency, better fuel economy, and crucially more horsepower. If you could somehow run a 18:1 while everyone is stuck with the 16:1, you aren't just faster, you are in a different category of performance. Here is where the genius of the cheating comes in. The FIA Technical Regulations, Article C5.4.3, states that no cylinder will have the geometric compression ratio higher than 16:1, but there's a massive flaw in how they verify this. According to a leaked FIA spokesperson statement, the compliance is measured under the static conditions at ambient temperature. In plain English, they check the engines when it's cold and sitting on a bench in the garage. Red Bull and Mercedes reportedly realized that while the engine weighs 16:1 when it's cold, the rules say nothing about what happens when it's screaming at 15,000 RPM and 3,300 degrees Celsius. By using advanced 3D printing piston crowns made of secret high expansion alloys and specialized connecting rods, they help build an engine that glows. As the engine heats up to raising temperature, the metal expands just enough. We are talking about 0.5 to 1.7 millimeters to push the piston slightly higher into the combustion chamber. This reduces the clearance volume and jumps the compression ratio back up to 18:1. It passes the core test at the FIA lab, but it breaks the limit the second the light goes out. The results are terrifying for the rest of the grid. Data from the Barcelona shakedown suggests that it provides an extra 10 to 11 kilowatts of power. That's roughly 15 horsepower purely from thermal efficiency. In a world where teams spent 10 million to find 2 horsepower, this is a nuclear bomb. Ferrari, Fred Vasseur, and Audi's technical leads have already raised a representation to FIA, calling it a blatant violation of the spirit of the rules. They argue that the 16:1 should apply at all the same times during the competition. But Mercedes and Red Bull have a solid defense. If you wanted it not to measure the harm, you should have written that in the testing procedure. They are following the test, not the intent. So what happens now? The FIA is caught in the nightmare. If they ban the trick now, Mercedes and Red Bull have to redesign their entire engine blocks, which are really homologated or frozen for the season. If they allow it, Audi and Ferrari are essentially starting the season with one tight hand behind their backs. If the thermal expansion ring was heavy lifting of the heist, the second loophole is the sailing disaster. For 2026, the FIA didn't just change the engine design, they have changed how the FIA measured mass flow, basically how many kilograms of fuel were passing through the pipes per hour. But in 2026, because F1 has changed to 100% sustainable fuels, the FIA changed the limit to energy flow capped at 3000 megajoules per hour. To monitor this, everything must have used a new standardized ultrasonic sensor from a company called Allengra. But here's the problem. Ultrasonic sensors are incredibly sensitive to temperature and vibration. Lead reports from the most recent World's Watermost Council meeting in December 2025 revealed that at least one manufacturer rumored that uses the car ERS cooling loop. Leaked reports from the most recent World Motorsport Council in December 2025 reveals that at least one manufacturer rumored to be Mercedes developed a system that uses the car ERS cooling loop to intentionally manipulate the temperature of the fuel exactly where it passes through the engine. by chilling the fuel flow meter, you can slightly alter the density and the speed of the ultrasonic waves. This can trick the sensor into reporting flow wave energy that can actually enter the engine. It's a digital equivalent of putting magnet on a water meter. You get 3100 megajoules per horsepower of power, but FIA's computer only sees 2899. The FIA was so spooked by this that they rushed through the last-minute rule change on December 22nd, 2025, stating any device system or procedure, the purpose of which is to change the temperature of the fuel flow meter is forbidden. But as always in F1, the teams are already arguing that the cooling systems accidentally change the meter as a secondary effect, not on the initial one. To understand this is happening now. To understand why this is happening now, you have to realize that F1 is a history of legal cheating. Every great champion has stood on the shoulders of a loophole. This genius loophole of 2026, it is high stakes, high tech, and incredibly controversial. But at the end of the day, isn't this why we are watching Formula 1? We want to see the smartest people on earth find a way to do the impossible, even if they do bend the law of physics